Well, good evening, folks. Andrew Sluter, pastor of Bible Baptist Church in Asheville, North Carolina, coming to you live from my office here. And I am so glad to be back with you. Wasn't able to do the live broadcast on Thursday night because I was on vacation. And so Brother Randy came on and messed around a little bit and stirred some water. So we always appreciate him stirring the waters. I appreciate guys who will stir the water besides me. I get tired of doing it all the time. But anyway, good to see everybody. We're going to give everybody just a moment to log on. Hey, if you're listening, let me know where you're listening in from. I see we got Brother David Price and Sandy and Sam Jaros and several different ones, David Canup and different people. So if you're tuning in, go ahead and let me know where you're listening to. We'll give everybody just a second to get tuned in. Like and share the video. All right. Well, we are doing a Bible Believer's Guide to Fasting. All right, there's William Curcio, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Good evening, brother. Looking forward to the topic from Ellenwood, Georgia. God bless you. All right, Brother Vincent Crescent. Hi, Brother Andrew from Beaver City, Nebraska. Hello there from Beaver City, Nebraska. God bless you, brother. Shane Ball from Barnesville. Always good to hear from Brother Ball. All right, well, there is Brother Sam Jaros from Winchester, Kentucky. All right, good to hear from you, brother. God bless you. Brother Curcio said you pronounced it perfectly. Wonderful. All right, I usually don't pronounce things very well, but evidently I pronounced that one perfectly. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to dive in. I put up a post today on fasting, biblical fasting, let me get that all straightened out there. I put up a post today about what people would like to hear about, and I got a plethora of requests, but what seemed to be an overwhelming majority of people who wanted to, what topic they wanted to hear was on the topic of fasting. And we've actually gotten this question a lot of times on the broadcast about what is fasting, what are the commands for fasting, are we commanded to fast? And so we've addressed this from time to time on the broadcast, but let's just do an entire video on it and just kind of get, what does the Bible say about fasting? So we're just going to dive right in about biblical fasting. And let me say this, I'm not dogmatic about some things, but when this issue of fasting, I've set it out pretty well. And what I'm going to say about fasting is pretty much how I am, I pretty much believe this way. It would take, an act of God to change my mind about this, okay? So we're going to look here at biblical fasting. And Kevin Burkhart says, no more mini vacations for a while as much as I love dogs. Anyway, I don't know what that means, but I'm not planning on being on any mini vacations for a while. Okay, let's see here. We had one more tune in. I think it was Miss, let's see here, Linda Hawkins from Wilkesboro, North Carolina. Good to hear from you, Miss Hawkins. God bless you. All right, Bobby, I'm not going to be able to pronounce your last name, Bobby Ndugamili. But he said awesome, so wonderful. All right, let's go jump right in. Fasting, all right? Let me give you the definition of fasting. Webster's 1828 dictionary, which is not the Bible, okay? A lot of people think that that is the Bible, but that is not the Bible. It does give a definition, though, that fasting is the act of abstaining from food, all right? The act of abstaining from food. Now, fasting is, let's just go ahead and clear the air on this one. Fasting is nowhere found in the Bible as a biblical command. You cannot find fasting in the Bible as a command, not one time in the Bible, okay? Now, that is not to say that we should not fast, okay? Jesus practiced fasting in Matthew chapter 4, all right? He fasted for 40 days and 40 nights in the wilderness before he was tempted of the devil. All right, I'm a strict dispensationalist, which means that I follow the writings of Paul, where Paul and another portion of the scriptures, disagree or whatever, I follow the writings of Paul. That does not mean that I do not get Bible doctrine and I do not get spiritual truth and application out of other parts of the Bible, but I'm a Pauline dispensationalist. Okay? Nowhere even in the Pauline, when we talk about, it's not found in the Pauline epistles, fasting is not found anywhere in the Bible as a command. But even Paul practices fasting in Acts 27:33 when they're on the ship and the winds are blowing and they think they're all going to die. For 2 weeks they all fasted. All right, not only that, but Paul says in 2 Corinthians 6:5 that he approved himself as a minister of God in fastings. Not only that, but Paul said in 2 Corinthians 11:27 that he fasted often. So I think that the idea that we should not fast I think that's unbiblical. I mean, Paul fasted, Jesus fasted. Fasting has been practiced and done by Christians throughout the ages. The early church fasted. They practiced fasting in Acts 13, verses 2 and 3. So I think that fasting is good. The benefits of fasting are, of course, there are obviously health benefits. It purges the body. Fasting also gives the mind time to defrag, and that clears the mind. Fasting helps you say no to yourself. It helps you with self-denial. Fasting has many benefits, but as far as a biblical command, we're nowhere commanded to fast. It doesn't say how often we should fast. It doesn't say how long we should fast. There's just simply no commandments on fasting. All right. Now, this is interesting, though. If you notice Matthew chapter 17 and verse 21, the only place that I know of in the entire Bible that ever deals with how to cast out a devil. Now, of course, I'm a dispensationalist. Paul never mentions anything about casting out devils. Paul never gives any commands. We're not commanded to. None of that in the Pauline epistles. Demon possession is actually kind of, it's not really talked about in the Pauline epistles at all, to be honest with you. Just seducing spirits and doctrines of devils found in 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 1. But the only command in the entire Bible that I can find that deals with how to cast out a devil is found in Matthew 17:21, where Jesus said, "This kind goeth not forth, but by prayer and fasting." So that's an interesting verse, that one of the things that at least in the book of Matthew, that Jesus said would help drive out a devil, cast out a devil, was fasting. All right. So having said all this, there is one time in the Pauline epistles that I can find where fasting is kind of not even a command, but kind of it's mentioned in passing, and that's 1 Corinthians chapter 7 and verse 5. Now, it's interesting that Webster's 1828, which remember I said was not the Bible. A lot of people go and see, well, the Webster's 1828 definition says this, so that's what it means. All right, no, the Bible's the best dictionary for itself, okay? But it's interesting that Webster's 1828 dictionary mentions fasting, but if you'll go to fasting is the act of abstaining from food. But if you'll go to 1 Corinthians chapter 7, and let me get there quickly, 1 Corinthians chapter 7, and verse number 5, it says, "Defraud ye not one the other, except it be with consent for a time, that ye may give yourselves to fasting and prayer." Okay? "And come together again, that Satan tempt you not for your incontinency." All right, well, hang on, my phone's acting up here. It seemed to wanting to do its own thing with the flipping around. Let's see here. All right, there we go. I think. Hang on. All right, no, it's not. I'm just going to have to hold it. All right, everybody, stay with me here. I'm going to have to hold it. My phone's not cooperating. It did a weird thing. So anyway. All right, now I want you to notice here, 1 Corinthians 7:5, "Defraud you not one the other, except it be with consent for a time, that ye give yourselves to fasting and prayer, and come together again, that Satan tempt you not for your incontinency." So clearly we find a command here that Paul mentions, and he says that fasting, when a man and woman separate themselves for a period of time, and that involves, sexually or whatever, it says that during that time when they are separated, that they should give themselves to prayer and fasting. All right? So that is the only time in the Pauline epistles that I can kind of find where when you, as far as a command, if you even want to call it that if you happen to be separated and you want to give yourselves over to prayer and fast, or if you want to be separated for a time as far as sexually, then you should give yourselves over to prayer and fasting. Now, let me say this. As far as fasting is concerned, we cannot find a single time where fasting is commanded in all the Scriptures. But we do find instructions. So let me say this, as a dispensationalist, if I cannot find a clear command for fasting anywhere in the Pauline epistles, or if I can't find any precedent for it, then I go to the next place that I can find it. Well, the place where we find, if you are going to fast, which is not forbidden, and Paul said he did it often, then if you are going to fast, the only place where we can ever find any commandments, or sorry, not commandments, but instructions on fasting is in Matthew chapter 6. And let me see if my camera is going to cooperate here. I don't know if it will. Let's see here. It's not wanting to cooperate, and I'm having to hold it. Let's see here. No, it's not wanting to do. It's not wanting to do right. Anyway, let's see if I can get it to stand up here. All right, there we go. I think that may work. We'll see here. All right, move that out of the way. Now, the only time we find instructions on fasting, boy, I tell you what, my phone is acting nuts right now. Bear with me for just a moment. Matthew chapter 5, Matthew chapter 6, the instructions on fasting. Notice Matthew chapter 6 and verse number 16. Moreover, when ye fast, be not as the hypocrites of a sad countenance, for they disfigure their faces, that they may appear unto men to fast. That may appear unto men to fast. Verily I say unto you that they have their reward. But thou, when thou fastest, anoint thine head and wash thy face, that thou appear not unto men to fast, but unto thy Father which is in secret, and thy Father which is in secret shall reward thee openly. So, here's the thing. If you are going to fast, if you say, you know what, I'm going to fast, there's some things that I need God to answer, I need God to do some fast things in my life. If you're going to fast, then there are commands found in Matthew chapter 6. All right? First of all, you're not supposed to disfigure your face. You're not supposed to be of a sad countenance. All right? You're not supposed to go around saying, I'm so hungry, I wish I could get a bite to eat. I'm suffering for Jesus. All right? You're not supposed to do any of that. You know, I've had some guys, they'll say, I'll meet up with them and they'll say, now, I just want you to know I'm fasting today. Okay. And what does Jesus say about that? It says, verily, I say unto you that they have their reward. But when you fast, if you're going to fast, then number one, you're supposed to anoint your head and wash your face. You're not supposed to appear, verse 18, that thou appear not unto men to fast, but unto thy Father which is in secret. When you fast, you're not supposed to go and pronounce it to everybody. You're not supposed to appear to fast. You're supposed to wash your face, anoint your head, brush your teeth, do your hair, put on your clothes like you always do. And you're not supposed to act any different when you fast. Now, like I said, there is no biblical command for any of this. There's no biblical, how often you're supposed to do it, when you're supposed to do it, certain situations. It's all based upon what you want to do. But there is all, now if there's something you can add to this, go ahead and add to it, let me know. But as far as I can tell, that is a thorough biblical study on the doctrine or idea or subject of fasting, okay? So it's not commanded, it's not necessary, but it's practiced by Paul, it's practiced by Jesus, it was practiced by the early church. There's mentions of it all through the Pauline epistles, and we do find when you do fast in Matthew chapter 6, which I know dispensationally is not for us, but it's the only example of fasting, the only instructions of fasting we can find. So that's what, if I'm going to fast, I will follow Matthew chapter 6. See, I'm not a hyper dispensationalist. I don't throw out anything Paul didn't say. I'm not hyper, but just understand that, nowhere found in the Bible for me a command for me to fast. Now, I think you should, but you have to be careful when you're dealing with subjects where the Bible just doesn't say anything on, okay? Anyway, I hope that helped you. I hope that was very, thorough. I apologize about my camera. No idea what's going on. Just in the middle, it just decided it was going to switch over to front, long ways or whatever. So I hope this was encouragement. Like and share the video, and we will be back Thursday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, for the Backwoods Bible broadcast. Okay? Love you guys. If I ever do anything for you, let me know. God bless everyone. Like and share the video. Have a good night. Bye-bye.